He's an unbiased national baseball media member. It's Jared Carrabis joining us from Starting Nine. And from Barstool Sports, we are talking Indians, Yankees. So, Carrabis, let's get right to it. What do you think of this series?
I'm very excited for Game 1. I will say that last night I was kind of thinking to myself, when is the last time that we've seen a showdown in a Game 1 with two pitchers of this caliber, where it's like, you have a dude that just won the Triple Crown. And last year, everyone was, besides Jacob deGrom, all respect to Jacob deGrom, people were calling Garrett Cole the best pitcher on planet Earth. So you have a Triple Crown winner and this dude that absolutely dominated last year in terms of strikeouts and, all the peripheral statistics. They're going head-to-head in Game 1 of the postseason. So that, to me, is a draw that I think, because I was sort of worried about whether or not you were going to have sort of like a fallback from when you originally were like, hey, we're going to open up the postseason with the best. It's just one game, Game 7 scenario, wild card. And then to get rid of that, I was like, well, I kind of like that. Like, I like the drama of, it's like the opening band, but they have a bunch of pyro like that. That's what it felt like. So I was like, well, what are they going to do now that, you don't have that? Like, you don't just like kickstart the postseason with a Game 7. Well, you kickstart the postseason with Garrett Cole versus Shane Bieber. Like, that is the heavyweight fight. That is arguably one of the best, if not the best, pitching matchup that you're going to see, and you're going to get it in Game 1. So that's what I'm really looking forward to, and I want to see. I actually predicted on Starting Nine. I said I wouldn't be surprised if Garrett Cole outpitches Shane Bieber. And does that mean that I think Shane Bieber's not going to pitch well? No. I think it's going to be like the Biebs goes 7 1/3, 1 earned run and 10 strikeouts, and Garrett Cole goes 8 innings, 0 earned runs and 14 strikeouts. Like, that's the type of pitching matchup that I'm looking for here. But I do think that a guy like Garrett Cole resents the attention that Shane Bieber is going to get coming into this. And I mean, Biebs deserves all the love that he's going to get, but Garrett Cole's probably like, hey, I've been doing this for a little bit longer and maybe a little bit better. So how about some love for me? I'm going to show you why that you should have been paying more attention to me coming into this one.
What'd you make of the high stakes comment?
I didn't catch that one.
Oh, he said he loves high stakes, Cole. And he was really simple because they said, what do you like about pitching on this stage? And he's like, stakes. And or was like, well, what do you – and he goes, the stakes are high. And he left it at that.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely not going to give anybody bulletin board material. I think he's smarter than that, and now he's been there, and he knows what it feels like to lose. I think it's also interesting, how at the end of the World Series last year, he was wearing like the Boris hat at his locker, and it just made a statement like, hey, like, I'm a hired gun. And at that point, we all read into it. We were like, okay, this dude has absolutely zero loyalty to the Houston Astros. He is loyal to the next team that the direct deposit hits twice a month. So yeah, this is the moment that they got him for. It's one of those things where you're the New York Yankees. You have this huge tradition of winning, and they haven't won. I mean, like, all these Yankee fans, like, they keep running back the same comebacks over and over and their same narratives. And it's like, well, you can talk about the rings all you want, but like, how old are you? 24? Do you even remember the 90s? Like, all right, so you have one, and it was 09. Were you in high school then? So yeah, I think Garrett Cole, having grown up being a Yankee fan, he gets it. He knows that, anything less than a championship in the Bronx is a failure. So I think he will be amped up, and I think you will see vintage Garrett Cole, but I also think that there's no such thing as vintage Shane Bieber. It's just every single start he's been nails. Like, it's not like, oh, I need to revert back to a certain form. Every single time Shane Bieber takes the mound, you're seeing dominance.
Well, that's what he's been. Triple Crown winner. He's been absolutely outstanding this season. And to your point, not that you pick one, but if there's one thing you'd say about Bieber at times, he's been focused so much on attention to detail that at times his pitch count has risen. And so that's why Cole might end up going longer than Bieber. But you know what that means, Jared? There's nothing that excites me more because I know how the Yankees are. You know how the Yankees are. Yankee fans probably don't know a ton about James Karinchak. So
no.
when the myth, the legend comes in, and they see this guy that's dropping F-bombs and walking around the mound and never stops moving. I mean, Brad Hand, the Indians closer, just said a couple days ago that there's nobody like this guy. I want to see Yankee hitters go up against this guy, and I think it's going to cause some disruption among Bronx fans.
Yeah, I would imagine that if you're a Yankee fan, you don't want to see the back end of that Tribe bullpen. If you're down a couple runs there, that's quite the uphill battle. But to your point about like Biebs and his pitching count going up, if you watch like the strikeout reel of every single Shane Bieber start, there is nothing left out over the plate. It is just paint. It is corners. He's just dotting everything. And, you know, he's going to miss his spots here and there, but it is honestly one of my favorite things to do after a Shane Bieber start is to go back and watch the strikeout reel, because catcher's never going to move his mitt, whether it's Sandy Leon or Perez. It's like you put it right there, and Biebs is going to hit the mitt. So, you know, when you're dealing with some of these hitters now that are used to timing 98 plus, you look at that Reyes bullpen that Kevin Cash brags about all the time. Yeah, we got a stable of guys down there that throw 98. Well, Biebs is working with like 94, 95, and you can't miss middle with that, because guys will have a great time with it. And to his credit, he hasn't really missed much at all. So I think what was it, his last time out, he went 5 innings, but he still punched out 10. The pitch count kind of got up there to like somewhere in the 90s, and you figure, well, we're already in, and we need this guy to be at 100% with the bullets coming out in game 1. So I'm expecting him to be efficient. I think it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to think that he's going to punch out double digits and give you 6+. I think if he went anything less than 6 innings, I'd be very, very surprised.
So we do a post-game show at Indians Baseball Insider where we go on Periscope. We actually take callers because you can now use that function on Periscope. And so we do on Sunday, and the Indians-Pirates game isn't over 10 minutes, and the first caller is a Yankee fan. At Yankee 777 calls in the show. Mm-hmm. This guy is definitely was trying to do a New York accent, which I thought was pretty funny because it was a poor attempt. And he starts the show off by saying, "How many World Series rings do the Indians have, and how many do I have?"
I can't get behind the rings thing.
I just don't understand the argument. Like, if you had 3 of the last 4 years, or like you were on that type of run, okay. But these are not your dad's Yankees. They're not your grandpa's Yankees.
No.
And if they didn't have the team name Yankee, then we'd be talking about this team totally differently. For sure.
And, I think with a lot of the people that you're going to come across on the internet, if you're on the internet, you're probably a little bit, you skew younger in age. And all you got to say is, listen, the Yankees won 27 World Series titles, but 20 of them were before the Kennedy assassination, and that was in 1963. So, you have 20 of your 27 World Series titles happen during a time where there wasn't even really colored television yet. So I'm not really overly concerned about your winning tradition when, like my parents don't really have memories of a vast majority of the championships that you're trying to cite in this argument. So that's kind of, and especially now, I'm a Red Sox fan. So there was a long time where we couldn't say anything to those people.
Sure, right.
And now it's like, we're the last fan base that you can chirp. Since this ownership group took over in 2002, the Red Sox have won more World Series titles than any other organization in the sport. And since I was a sophomore in high school. So I remember all of them, and I was there for all of them. So no one can really come at Red Sox fans now, but I think, and I don't know about you because you do college hoops as well.
Yes.
So you're a normal sports fan where you like other sports. I just like baseball. So when I'm in the off season and even in quarantine, I need my baseball fix. So I kind of go back and there's rewatchable baseball games for me. And it's obviously postseason games, but the 2016 World Series, that was one of my favorite, if not my favorite World Series of all time. Like those games are all rewatchable to me. And I think that 2016 was the first year that I went from just covering the Red Sox to covering the whole league. And I was in on that Indians team probably like early May. Like early May was when I was like that like this team's special. Like I see something with this team. So I went from, just covering the Red Sox for, I don't know, from 2006 to 2015 to once getting to 2016. And I was like, you know what? This is the team. And I rode that wave the whole way. And at the end of the year, when they lose in Game 7, I wrote this whole blog, like recapping their entire season. And it was almost like I was an Indians writer that year. Like that was how like close I kind of got to that group. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see what happens with this team this year, because I think that the way that they're built is their pitching is lights out. Love the back end of the bullpen. Love the rotation. Love the fact that they have the luxury of being able to put Tristan McKenzie in the bullpen.
Yep.
And then if this lineup gets hot, I mean, if you look at the numbers, nothing really jumps out at you except for Jose Ramirez offensively. But do they have the capability to get hot at the right time? Yeah, they do. And if they do, I feel like that's the team to look out for.
All right, before my days of being a baseball media professional in 2016, I was at Seton Hall as a senior. My clothes came off when Rajai Davis hit the home run. Not sure.
I mean, I can't even imagine being an Indians fan and witnessing that moment live. Like watching all the action leading up to that. Because, I mean, like that's the thing about people that are like, oh, baseball's boring. If you want to say that there's too much time in between action, okay, I'll hear you out on pitchers taking too long to throw a pitch. But it builds suspense unlike any other sport. And when there's a true payoff for you, there's literally nothing that compares in any other sport. Like that Rajai Davis home run, like you cannot make a direct comparison to football, basketball, hockey. Like it doesn't exist. So I'm jealous. I'm envious of you that you had a moment like that.
My brother was outside the stadium beyond the home run porch where they were going probably a couple thousand deep outside the stadium just waiting to see. Had the Indians won, and if the queen had balls, she'd be the king. But
right.
Like, I actually think people would have run onto the field. That's the difference between the Cavs winning the finals. Like they won the finals a couple months earlier, but it was at Oracle.
Yeah.
And the Indians carry a totally different vibe. So, no, that World Series was amazing. And I think, like, I want to get your thoughts here. And from a Red Sox fan, I think this will be interesting, too, or an unbiased media.
Correct, yes. Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you categorize the Indians? Because here in Cleveland, the thought is, okay, well, they're not going to be able to pay Francisco Lindor. Well, that makes me very angry. Or, now I'm not going to value the team the same way. Like, as a baseball guy, and from my standpoint, I think that's unfair, and I think you just have to respect the way that things go. I mean, look, if the Indians could pay anybody, they're going to pay Francisco Lindor. The fact is they've never been able to pay that type of player, and they're not going to do it now. Right.
Yeah, I think it sucks because – so I've been there. I've been to Cleveland a couple of times now, and I've probably been a part of two of the most electric times in that city's sports history. I mean, I was there for the 2016 playoffs, and they were loud as hell, and I was there for the 2019 All-Star game. And if you go back and you watch some of those games in 2016, the fans didn't really come out until like halfway through the season. And there was a team worth supporting there. And I get it from like an Indians fan perspective. It's like, well, I want to invest my time and my energy into this team. But if you are a diehard baseball fan, you get emotionally invested in the players. And if you do that, it's like, well, what's the point if I know that the second that this guy's arbitration is complete, he's gone. Like, we're not paying. If you're good enough, that's great. Congratulations. Someone else is going to pay you. That must be a very awful feeling as a fan. And I've even said this before. Like, I love Cleveland. Like, I think Cleveland gets a bad rap in terms of, that viral YouTube video about the tourism and everything. Like they just naturally get this bad rap. But at both times that I've been to Cleveland, I've had an awesome time. I love the ballpark, and the fans are wildly passionate, and they should be rewarded with an ownership group that's going to repay the fans for their loyalty. And to not have that, and not only to just not have that, but to then like basically insult the fan base by saying, yeah, enjoy Lindor while you got him, because it's not happening. And the first time that we hand out a $300 million contract is going to be the first time that $1 billion contract gets handed out. So it's insulting to the fans, and it doesn't give anyone any incentive to come out to the ballpark and invest their time and money. Like, it's like, okay, I mean, I love the Indians, but I don't want to put money in your pocket if you're not then going to put it into the pocket of the players that I love coming out to see. So I'll just check them out on TV, maybe catch the game on radio if I'm in the car or something like that.
They lead all teams in regional television viewership, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's crazy, because I went there both times that I've gone there. It was just Indians everywhere. I mean, you get into an Uber.
I think it's just there's a sharp contrast between that viewership and people inside the ballpark. That's the contrast there.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like you go back and like those 2016 games, like Mike Napoli was hitting bombs like 40 rows up the bleachers, and there's not anybody there to catch it. It's crazy. But then when I went to the playoff games in 16, it's like, this place is loud. Like, there are a lot of people here, and they're very excited about their Indians team. So yeah, it's just, if I were to power rank fan bases that deserve new ownership, I would say it's Pirates number 1 and Indians number 2. And it might even be 1A, 1B. I mean, those fan bases, they're passionate. They're great sports cities, but they just have 2 baseball teams with owners who are never going to do what it takes to win a championship, or at least maintain a championship core. And that's just, it's sad. It's sad. I don't like that, because the Indians, what I love about them is that they're just essentially they're a pitching factory. So in some ways, it's almost good that they don't have the money, because what a mistake that would have been if they paid Kluber. That guy gets hurt. He's not the same after he leaves Cleveland. But there are guys, namely the position players, Francisco Lindor, Jose Ramirez, guys that you would want to give that money to so that they can stay, and then the Indians don't have to have this turnover and rebuild period where they're bottom of the barrel or whatever. You can just maintain a good core. That's what bothers me.
Well, they are only one of 2 teams in the AL to put up over 500 seasons in each of the last 8 years, and the team they're facing this week, the New York Yankees. What do you think of Jose Ramirez?
Jose Ramirez, that was a guy that originally came out of nowhere. It was fun to see him sort of get an opportunity and then be able to showcase what he's got, and then flirt with an MVP race back then, to then having like, oh, it's a down year. Maybe the MVP race was a little bit of a fluke. And then this year, just be like, hey, remember me? I'm an MVP candidate. And it surprised me entirely because, you know, I kind of follow, if it's not daily, it's multiple times a week where I'll be like, all right, who's leading the American League in wins above replacement? Who's leading the National League? Like, who's, you know, you're trying to figure out who should I be paying attention to that might not be the sexy name. Like, we're all just waking up being like, oh, what'd Tatis do last night? What'd Freddie Freeman do? And then you kind of look up one day at the end of the season and Jose Ramirez is leading the majors in wins above replacement. I'm like, well, what? I mean, defensively, yeah, you see it. And then I was like, well, you know, the past couple, I feel like he's homered a few times the past week or so. And then at the end of the season, he just goes off. I mean, he was, I don't want to give him all the credit for, you know, carrying the Indians to the postseason because that wouldn't be fair to Shane Bieber, who, if you take Shane Bieber off the Indians, this is why I think he's the MVP of the league.
Wow.
They have a losing record. I think the Indians went 11-2 in games that he started. You take him off the Indians, they have a losing record. So I think Shane Bieber is the MVP of the American League, but Jose Ramirez certainly has a case. And the only reason why I would vote for Bieber over a guy like Jose Ramirez, because when you're talking about, you know, a guy that has one of the highest wins above replacement in the league, it's like, well, I didn't notice that until the very end. Like, I need a guy that's like, day one, I'm your guy, and at the end of the season, I'm still your guy, and I was all throughout. And I feel like that's Shane Bieber. But for Jose Ramirez, you need this guy in the postseason. I think he might be the only dude with an OPS over 800 on the whole team. And it's like 9 something. It's like 960 something maybe. Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. You look at some of those numbers in like Carlos Santana. It's like, okay, yeah, he's probably having a good year. He's usually a guy that's like a 3-win player. He's hitting below 200.
Yep.
You know, like Tyler Naquin and some of these other guys, and Oscar Mercado. Like, I had such high hopes for Oscar Mercado to at least. Yeah, that was a disappointing season.
You know who the guy is that's the catalyst? I mean, either way, for the good, or could also be the other side. Franmil Reyes in August has an OPS well over 900, was plugging the baseball left and right, was hitting as well as anybody. And then in September, his OPS goes from a 954 in August to like 640 in September, and his batting average drops nearly 100 points. Like, it was incredible how large of a decline that was.
Yeah, he was one of my favorite players to watch there, and kind of like I can't really call it a first half, second half, but I guess it was the first month of the season. You know, the opposite field power that he has was like wildly impressive. But I don't know. I kind of believe in the whole flip the switch thing. I think that there are guys that can be like, all right, season's over. It's brand new. Everyone's 0-0. Let's get refocused. It's a different vibe because it is the postseason, whether there's fans or not, you can feel it. So that's, I would say that I might even go as far as to label Franmil Reyes as my X factor for the Cleveland Indians, not named Tristan McKenzie, because he is the X factor.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think if there were 4 players that I look at that are X factor type players for the Cleveland Indians in this postseason, it's Santana, because when he is hitting the baseball well, you package that together with Reyes in the 5 slot in the Indian lineup, and then you package that with the fact that 6 through 9 in this lineup leave a lot to be desired. That just magnifies what 4 and 5 are doing. And then on the bullpen, you're right, McKenzie. You know, I've gotten like it's not the same role, but it's kind of got these Danny Salazar 2013 vibes.
Yeah.
Salazar he all of a sudden went from X Factor to he was pitching in the biggest game of the season in that wild card plan. Like, I think there could be a real chance that Tristan McKenzie is pitching with 1 out in the 6th inning tonight, and it's kind of this bridge to try to get to number 99 in James Karinchak, who would be my other guy, just because all that personality and that Wild Thing haircut channeled into playoff baseball says fun. He was fun watching the regular season. Him in the postseason is must-see TV.
Yeah. And then there's another X factor here, a guy that we haven't even mentioned yet. Zach Plesac is an X factor for me because I can see this series going 3 where it's Tribe takes game 1 on the back of Shane Bieber. Postseason Tanaka shows up in game 2. Series is tied. And now who do you turn to there? You turn to Zach Plesac, a guy that has had a very interesting year on and off the field. So, I mean, like but he also has the ability to turn in a Bieber-like performance.
Yeah. And
I think that he has the DNA to rise to the occasion in the postseason. I mean, there's definitely dudes that you can see, very talented, can do it in the regular season, but then it's like, oh, it's the big moment. How are they going to handle that? How are they going to handle staring down the New York Yankees lineup in a do or die postseason game in the 6th inning with, 2 runners on? And it's like how Zach Plesac thrives off that opportunity. That's his personality. So yeah, I would say if we were to lay those out, Plesac, McKenzie, Reyes, who else did you have for X Factors?
Well, I have McKenzie, Reyes, Santana, Karinchak.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've been saying Tristan McKenzie all along because I do think that he is the fact that you can go to a guy like that in your bullpen that you can get multiple innings out of if there is some sort of hit the panic button moment, like, oh my God, Shane Bieber can only give us, he's at 98 pitches after 5. Well, guess what? Now we can go to Tristan McKenzie.
Right.
That to me has so much value. But I also think like if you do come down to that do or die game 3, you'd have to lean Plesac as being the number 1 X factor.
Yeah, you've got to. And here's the other thing. On the other side, I've been hearing David Garcia, they're talking about Jay Happ because he's been better recently, potentially working in that game. The Yankees can't match up with Plesac at his best in that game 3. And that's what makes him such a factor, because if he pitches to his capabilities, Zach Plesac has looked like a Cy Young contender at times this season. I don't think that's a stretch of the imagination. It's just he had that off-the-field incident in Chicago, and that totally derailed any ideas of him being able to put together the full package. But we've got some fan questions here, so I want to roll through these. We'll try to keep it rapid fire because I know you've got to move on. Let's see here. Time machine preference from October Drew. Standard time machine, standard options, or hot tub time machine?
Absolutely standard time machine. So this question, for anyone listening who doesn't know, on Starting 9, I do a send-off question to all of our guests, and I say, if you could go back in time to witness any moment in baseball history, what would it be? And then we started doing the Spikes Up tour, where we are Dallas and I are interviewing players like face to face, and like it's kind of like I'll reveal the secret for the first time. Like Dallas and I have basically like signs that we give each other. So like there's 2 questions that we have at the end of the interview, and if I ask one first, I'm telling Dallas like I've got nothing else that I want to ask, so you can wrap. So like I'll ask one final question, and then if he has something else, then he'll ask it, and then he'll ask like the final question. So we're kind of giving signs to each other via questions. But that's one of them is, if you could go back in time to witness any moment in baseball history, what would it be? So I started doing that for a while, and then Dallas picked it up as one of the questions that he likes to ask to give me the sign to wrap. Only for whatever reason, he just started saying, if you could go back in time in a hot tub time machine. I was like, that's not the question. Like, that's not the question that I came up with. So he started throwing a hot tub time machine in there. So anytime that he throws the signal to me to be like, if you could go back in time in a hot tub time machine, then I'll just be like, it's just a standard regular time machine. Like, just don't entertain the fact that he asked you that question. So Yes, it's a standard time machine.
Hoodie Nico asks, this one's for you. Are you rooting for Void in the playoffs after becoming buddies with him?
Yeah, I always root for my guys, and it doesn't matter what team you're on. Yeah, I may not want the Yankees to win the World Series. I think it's interesting when they're good. I think I'm always rooting for the storyline, and it's good when the Yankees are good, and I root for my guys. And Luke Voit, Clark Schmidt, Gio Urshela. I'm trying to think of anyone else that we might have had on from the Yankees. I mean, Aaron Boone. Yeah, anyone that's kind of like given us time and, had fun with us. And Luke Voigt's obviously one of those dudes. He's been on the podcast twice. He did rock, paper, scissors with me during quarantine. Yeah, I always root for guys like that.
Tom from Michigan, favorite item to order at Friendly's?
Favorite item to order at Friendly's? That's an easy one. I go chicken fingers with fries and coleslaw, and I get the mini mozzarella sticks, a fountain Coke, and mint chocolate chip ice cream with whipped cream and M&Ms, no cherry.
Yeah, that's some high-level stuff right there.
Yeah, that's elite. That's pro.
Yeah, they took away the Friendlies here in Cleveland, so we don't have that luxury, but that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Matt Sets Fire. Is it true that Brandon Workman has more World Series at-bats than most of the Yankees?
I think he has more World Series at-bats than every Yankee except for Brett Gardner. Yeah, he does. That's a dead fact. Brandon Workman going to the Phillies, though, what a disaster that was.
Can I say this about Brett Gardner? Like, I just feel like he's going to be a Yankee forever.
I would say he's what, 36, 37 by now. So he's probably in that stage of his career where either he's going to get a 1-year deal from the Yankees or he's going to retire. Like when they stop giving out 1-year deals, that's when he's probably going to say, yeah, I'm done. I think he would rather retire than play for another team.
No, there's definitely going to be a moment, like whether it's Brett Gardner who retires or, and I think he retires a Yankee. But like where we see a Fox or an ESPN promo of like the Yankees, and you're just going to see Brett Gardner's face in it, and he's not going to be a Yankee anymore. But like that's what I associate with Brett Gardner. Like it's gotten to the point where I just know that he is a Yankee, and I can't see him as anything else.
Yeah, the only other thing I can see Brett Gardner as is a state trooper.
No, he would be a great like Forest Park Ranger.
Yes.
State trooper dude, he could pull people over on the Garden State Parkway.
Yeah. He would pull people over for doing 66 and a 65. That would be Brett Gardner.
That's a perfect way to end this interview. Who do you like in this series?
I took Tribe in 3. I think we're gonna see an epic showdown in Game 1. Bieber Cole. I still think, that was my hot take, was that Cole outpitches Bieber ever so slightly, but the Tribe still gets the win. And I think Tanaka is going to be nails in Game 2, and then Plesac is going to have his "Hey, remember me" moment, where it was like, "Hey, remember when you said that you didn't have an opportunity for me when you sent me down, and you were giving opportunities to everybody but me, even though my ERA was in the 1s and my WHIP was under 1, and you just don't have a spot for that. That's cool. Wait till the playoffs." Well, it's the playoffs, so I got Plesac putting the Tribe into the division series in Game 3.
I love it, and I love talking to you, Jared Carrabis. Great stuff. Check out Starting 9, Barstool Sports. You guys, I love the video montage yesterday. I can't wait to see what's ahead here. This is going to be one wild week. This closest thing to March Madness. Yeah, no, this is going to be a lot of fun. It's different, and people like new. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I think that genuinely the Indians have as good of a chance as anyone in the American League to get to the World Series and try to be the participant from the American League that stops the Dodgers from winning the World Series. There is about to be someone very confused at 2:00 when they go to turn on General Hospital and baseball's on mid-afternoon on ABC. And I can't wait for that. Jared, thanks. Thank you so much.